Welcome back to a new video. In this series, we explore the first beings of Norse myth, the strange shapes that appeared when the world was new. In this video we talk about all the first beings. We start off with Ymir, the first of all giants, and the strange, violent creation of the Norse cosmos. The empty void. Before the earth, before the sky, before the gods themselves, there was only Ginnungagap. A vast emptiness stretching in every direction. To the north lay Niflheim, a realm of ice, mist, and biting cold. To the south lay Muspelheim, blazing with fire and heat. And where frost and flame met at the center, the ice began to drip and melt. From those drops of water, life stirred. The birth of Ymir. The first being to emerge was Ymir. He was a giant, enormous and powerful, and he was strange, for he carried life within himself. As he slept, new giants were born from his sweat. From under his arms, a man and a woman appeared. From his legs came another son. These were the ancestors of the frost giants, the race that would forever oppose the gods. The nourishing cow. But Ymir was not alone in the void. From the melting ice also came Audhumla, a great cow whose milk nourished the giant. Audhumla licked the salty ice for food, and as she licked, something remarkable happened. From the ice, she uncovered the form of a man. His name was Buri, and he became the ancestor of the gods. Buri's son was Bor. And Bor's sons were Odin, Vili, and Ve. These brothers would be the first of the Aesir, the gods who shaped the world. The gods against the giant. As Ymir and his offspring grew in number, the young gods saw that the giant was too dangerous. From him came only chaos and destruction. The gods decided that if there was ever to be order, if a world was ever to be made, Ymir had to die. So Odin and his brothers confronted him. The battle was immense. When at last the giant fell, his blood poured out in a great flood, drowning almost all of the giants he had created. Only two survived, Bergelmir and his wife. And from them the race of giants continued. The shaping of the world. With Ymir dead, the gods began their work. They dragged his vast body into the void and used it to shape the world. His flesh became the land. His blood formed the oceans, rivers, and lakes. His bones were set as mountains. His teeth and broken bones became the stones. His hair spread into forests. The gods lifted his skull high, and from it they made the sky. Sparks of fire from Muspelheim were set there as stars. Even his eyebrows were given a purpose. They became the walls of Midgard, the realm of men, protecting mankind from the giants beyond. From the first giant's corpse, the Norse believed, the entire world was made. The meaning of the myth. The story of Ymir is not a gentle beginning. It is not a tale of peaceful creation. It is violent, grim, and filled with blood. The Norse believed that the world itself was born of conflict, that life was carved out of death, and that even the greatest beings could be destroyed, to make way for something new. It explains why the world is both beautiful and dangerous. The mountains and seas, the forests and stars, all are part of Ymir. But so too are the forces of chaos, the reminder that order can never last forever. The legacy of Ymir. Though slain, Ymir never truly vanished. Every time the Norse looked upon the land, they saw the giant's body around them. Every step on the earth, every glance at the stars, was a reminder of the first being and of the gods who built the world from his remains. This was how the Norse understood creation. Not as the will of a single god, but as a struggle between chaos and order, between giants and gods, between destruction and renewal. The second one is Humla, the primeval cow, whose milk sustained the first giant, and whose tongue uncovered the forefather of the gods. The world before the world. Before the earth had mountains, rivers, or forests, there was only Ginnungagap, the yawning void. To the north lay Niflheim, cold and filled with ice. To the south burned Muspelheim, a land of fire. When the frost met the flames, the ice began to melt. From that melting ice, life was born. The first was Ymir, the primordial giant, and alongside him appeared Ahumla, the cosmic cow. The nourisher of Ymir. Ymir was vast, but he was helpless. Without food, he would not survive. Ahumla gave him life. From her udders flowed 4 great rivers of milk, streaming endlessly, and Ymir drank from them. This milk kept him alive, and from his body came the frost giants, the race that would forever challenge the gods. In this way, Ahumla is not just a bystander. She is the reason Ymir lived long enough to create his offspring. And without her, the giants might never have been. The licking of the ice. But Ahumla's role was not finished. She fed herself by licking the salty ice blocks in Ginnungagap. Each day she licked, and with each day, something took shape beneath the ice. On the first day, the hair of a man appeared. On the second, his head came free. And on the third day, the rest of his body was revealed. This was Buri, the first god, strong and tall. From him came Bor, and from Bor came Odin, Vili, and Ve, the gods who would go on to slay Ymir and shape the world from his body. The bridge between giants and gods. In this way, Ahumla stood at the very heart of creation. She fed Ymir, the ancestor of giants. She uncovered Buri, the ancestor of the gods. Without her, neither race would exist. Her role is unique. She does not fight, she does not rule, she does not wield thunder or fire. Instead, she nurtures. She is the quiet force that allows the story of the Norse cosmos to unfold. The meaning of Ahumla. What does a cow mean in a myth filled with giants and warriors? In Norse culture, cattle were wealth, food, and survival. Ahumla represents nourishment, sustenance, and stability. She is a reminder that even in a myth of violence and struggle, life cannot exist without care and feeding. Through her, we see the strange balance of the Norse creation story. A giant of chaos, a cow of nourishment, and the ancestor of the gods, all born together in the void. Without Ymir, there would be no world. Without Odin, there would be no order. And without Ahumla, there would be no Ymir, and no Odin either. The Forgotten Shaper. After the beginning, Ahumla disappears from the myths. She is not a warrior or a goddess, and she takes no part in the battles of the gods and giants. But her work is done. She gave milk to the first being. She uncovered the ancestor of the gods. And she made the rest of the story possible. In that way, she is one of the most important beings in Norse mythology. Not for what she destroyed, but for what she sustained. The third one is Buri, the first god, born not of fire or frost, but uncovered from the ice by the tongue of a cow. From ice, fire, and void. Before the world was formed, there was Ginnungagap, the great emptiness. To the north stretched Niflheim, filled with rime and darkness. To the south lay Muspelheim, blazing with endless flame. When the cold met the heat, the ice began to melt. From the dripping frost, Ymir the giant was born. And alongside him, Ahumla, the cow of creation. She nourished Ymir with her rivers of milk. But as she licked the salty ice for her own food, another secret slowly revealed itself. The emergence of Buri. On the first day, as her tongue scraped the ice, a single strand of hair appeared. On the second, the shape of a head came forth. And on the third day, the body was freed completely. This was Buri. Strong, tall, radiant. The first of the gods. Unlike Ymir, who was born of chaos, Buri emerged clear and whole, as if carved perfectly from the frozen void. He stood as the opposite of the giants, not a being of hunger and endless offspring, but a figure of strength and foundation. The ancestor of the Aesir. Buri had a son, Bor. And Bor would take his wife Bestla, daughter of a giant. From their union came 3 sons: Odin, Vili, and Ve. It was they who slew Ymir, and from Ymir's body shaped the world. The earth from his flesh, the seas from his blood, the sky from his skull. The god's dominion began with that act. But it all traced back to Buri, the forefather who first stepped from the ice. A bridge between chaos and order. Buri's place in myth is quiet, almost hidden. He does not swing a weapon. He does not fight a giant. But he is the bridge. From Ymir came the giants. From Buri came the gods. The struggle between chaos and order, between Jotnar and Aesir, could only begin because both were brought into being. And Buri was the root of the divine side of that struggle. The Forgotten Father. After his unveiling, Buri fades from the myths. His deeds are not told, his battles never recorded. Yet his importance is undeniable. Without Buri, there is no Bor. Without Bor, there is no Odin. And without Odin, there is no ordered cosmos. In the silence of his story, we glimpse a truth about creation myths. Not every shaper of the world remains in the spotlight. Some simply stand at the beginning, foundations upon which everything else is built. The meaning of Buri. What does Buri represent? He is the god hidden in ice, the strength revealed only through patience and persistence. Ahumla day after day, and only through that slow work did he emerge. Buri is the stillness at the start of the divine line. He embodies stability, endurance, and potential. Qualities as necessary to creation as fire and chaos. The silent pillar of the gods. Though the myths pass him by, Buri remains the silent pillar of Norse mythology. He is the first spark of divinity, the one who began the bloodline of the Aesir. And even if his story is brief, it is the ground upon which all others stand. The next one is Bor, the son of Buri, the father of Odin, Vili, and Ve, and the one who carried the bloodline of the gods into the age of creation. The child of the first god. Bor was the son of Buri, the first god uncovered from the ice by Ahumla's tongue. Where Buri stood as a solitary figure, strong and timeless, Bor was the one who would continue the divine line. Though little is said of him in the old poems, his place is critical. Without him, the ancestry of the Aesir would end before it began. Union with a giant's daughter. Bor took as his wife Bestla, daughter of the giant Bolthorn. This union was more than a marriage, it was a joining of opposites. From the gods came order, clarity, and will. From the giants came chaos, power, and ancient wisdom. Together, these two bloodlines mingled and their children would carry both fire and frost in their veins. The three brothers. From Bor and Bestla came three sons. Odin, the Allfather. Vili, whose name means will. And Ve, whose name means sanctity or holiness. These brothers stood together at the dawn of creation. They looked upon Ymir, the great giant, and they struck him down. From his vast body they shaped the world. Earth, sea, sky, and stars. The cosmos as we know it. The ordered world of men and gods was only possible because of the line that began with Buri and was carried forward by Bor. The link in the chain. Bor himself is not given deeds, no battles are told in his name, no adventures preserved in the sagas. Yet his role is vital. He is the bridge between beginnings and action. Buri was the first spark of godhood, but it was through Bor that this spark found a family, a legacy, and the strength to shape the world. The meaning of Bor. What does Bor represent? He is lineage, continuity, and connection. Where other figures stand out as creators or destroyers, Bor is the link in the chain. He shows us that myth is not only about battles and triumphs, but also about the quiet bonds between generations. It is through those bonds that power endures and through them that new ages rise. The silent father of creation. Though Bor is a shadow in the myths, his sons stand tall. Odin, Vili, and Ve built the world. But Bor gave them life. And through him, the line of the gods was secured. In this way, Bor is like the roots of a tree. Invisible beneath the surface, but essential for everything that grows above. The fifth one is Niflheim. The ancient land of frost, of shadows and mist, one of the first realms to exist at the dawn of creation. Before the beginning. Long before the earth had seas or sky, before sun and moon crossed the heavens, there was Ginnungagap, the yawning void. On one side of that void lay Muspelheim, blazing with fire and unending heat. On the other side was Niflheim, cold, dark, and filled with rime and poison frost. The clash of these two forces, the frozen north and the burning south, was the spark that brought the first life into being. The nature of Niflheim. Niflheim was no gentle land of snow. It was a place of endless mist and biting cold, where icy rivers flowed from the great well Hvergelmir. From this spring, 11 rivers spilled forth. The Livagar, the storm waves. They coursed outward into Ginnungagap, freezing into jagged sheets of ice, layer upon layer, until the void itself was filled with glittering rime. When the heat of Muspelheim struck this frozen mass, the ice melted and dripped. From those drops of water, Ymir arose, the first of the frost giants. And not long after, Ahumla the cow appeared, licking the salty blocks of ice. Until she freed Buri, the ancestor of the gods. In this way, Niflheim is not merely a land of death, it is a womb of creation, the place where the first forms of life took shape. The realm of cold and death. But Niflheim also held another destiny. In later ages, when the 9 realms took form, Niflheim was remembered as a place of cold exile, a land that lay beneath the roots of Yggdrasil. Here dwelled Hel, daughter of Loki, who ruled over the souls of those who did not die in battle. The sick, the old, the forgotten dead. All were sent to Hel's Hall, a place of chill, shadows, and silence. Niflheim thus became more than the origin of life. It was also the land of endings, the final rest for countless souls. The meaning of Niflheim. What does Niflheim represent? It is the frozen pole of the cosmos, the opposite of Muspelheim's fire. In Norse thought, nothing is born from balance alone, but from the clash of extremes. From Muspelheim came heat and flame. From Niflheim came ice and mist. And where the two touched in Ginnungagap, the world's first being stirred. Niflheim embodies stillness, barrenness, and cold inevitability. Yet it also holds the power of beginnings. It is the reminder that life often emerges from harshness, that creation requires contrast. Warmth against frost, being against void. The silent realm. Though the myths focus on Odin and the other gods, Niflheim lingers in the background. Silent, cold, unchanging. It is not a place of heroes or sagas, but of origins and endings. The wellspring of frost, the shadowed half of creation. Without Niflheim, there would be no Ymir, no Ahumla, no Buri, and no gods to shape the cosmos. It is the realm that births and swallows, the frost at the edge of fire, the silence at the root of story. The next one is Muspelheim, the blazing land of fire, the home of the fire giants, and the realm whose fury will one day end the world. Before there were gods, before there were men, there was only Ginnungagap, the yawning void, silent and vast. To the north stretched Niflheim, a place of endless frost and poison mist. To the south burned Muspelheim, a land of unbearable heat, where the air shimmered with sparks, and rivers of flame leapt higher than mountains. The void lay between them, open and waiting. And when the icy rivers of Niflheim crept into Ginnungagap, the sparks of Muspelheim rushed out to meet them. Where fire touched ice, the frost began to melt. From the dripping rime, forms began to stir. Ymir, the first giant, vast and terrible. And Ahumla, the primeval cow whose milk sustained him. Thus, it was Muspelheim's fire that woke life from silence. The spark that stirred creation itself. But Muspelheim was not gentle. It was not a hearth fire, nor the warm glow of a torch. It was pure, consuming flame. Too fierce for mortals, too wild even for gods. The land itself seemed alive with hunger. Forever burning, forever devouring. Forever reaching outward. And at its edge stood Surtur. Surtur, whose name means blackened, the first and greatest of the fire giants. In his hand he held a flaming sword, so bright it was said to outshine the sun. He stood watch at the border of Muspelheim, guarding its raging fires, waiting for the day foretold in prophecy. For though Muspelheim gave the spark of creation, it also held within it the fire of destruction. At Ragnarok, when the end of all things comes, Surtur will march forth from Muspelheim, leading his kin across the broken bridge of Bifrost. With his sword, he will set the world ablaze. The earth will burn, the sky will fall, and all will be reduced to ash. Yet from that ash, a new world will rise. So Muspelheim is both the first flame and the last, the realm that began creation, and the force that will bring it to an end. It is not good, nor evil. It is simply fire. The energy that warms, that awakens, that sustains. And the blaze that devours, that destroys, that cleanses. Few stories describe Muspelheim itself. It is not a land where gods wander, nor a place of heroes or feasts. It is older, more primal, more dangerous. Yet its presence burns beneath every tale. For without its sparks, the world would never have begun. And without its flames, the world will never find its end. Muspelheim is the torch of creation. Muspelheim is the funeral pyre of the cosmos. The last one is Ginnungagap, the vast emptiness, the space between fire and ice, where all creation first began. Before time, before worlds, before the sky, before the earth, before even gods and giants, there was Ginnungagap. Its name means the yawning gap, a vast chasm of nothingness, silent and formless. It was not a place, but the space where places could come to be. To the north of this void stretched Niflheim, a realm of mist and poison frost. To the south burned Muspelheim, a searing land of fire and sparks. Between them yawned Ginnungagap, open and waiting. The first stirring of creation. Though empty, Ginnungagap was not still. The icy rivers of Niflheim poured into the gap, freezing into rime and piling up. From Muspelheim, sparks and heat flew forth, rushing against the frost. And where fire met ice, where heat struck frozen rime, the ice began to drip and stir. From these drops arose Ymir, the first of the giants, and alongside him, Ahumla, the primeval cow whose milk gave him life. Later, as Ahumla licked the salty ice, another figure emerged. Buri, the first god. Thus, from the emptiness of Ginnungagap, life took its first shape. A realm of balance and contrast. Ginnungagap was not chaos, nor was it order. It was the space between. Without it, Niflheim and Muspelheim would have remained apart, each locked in its own extreme, never touching, never shaping. But within Ginnungagap, opposites could meet. And in their meeting, creation was born. This is the mystery of the void. That it is not mere nothingness, but the fertile ground where something can arise. The meaning of Ginnungagap. What does Ginnungagap represent? It is potential, possibility, and openness. The nothing that allows something to exist. Every act of creation, every story of beginnings, requires a space to unfold. In Norse myth, that space was Ginnungagap. It teaches that creation is not born only from substance, but from emptiness. From the silence that holds room for what is to come. The silent beginning. Once the world was formed, Ginnungagap faded from the myths. The gods built Midgard, the giants fought their wars, and men came to dwell in the ordered world. But behind all of it lies the memory of the void, the great nothing that came before everything. Ginnungagap is not a character, nor a realm that can be visited. It is the backdrop of creation itself, the canvas on which fire and ice painted the first forms of life. Thank you for watching. If there's another figure or realm from Norse myth you'd like us to cover, let us know in the comments.